Hi, we're up in the top greenhouse. As I've said, it's the 5th of March today. After a terrible February, the worst February I can remember, we've had terrific winds. We had 3 named storms throughout February. We've had 70-mile-an-hour winds. We've had unbelievable amounts of rain, floods everywhere in the country. March has started off on a good footing. We've had 4 days on the trot now of cold, frosty mornings but beautiful sunshine. And it's really making a difference in the greenhouse. Stuff's starting to bounce along. However, I've just checked the temperature in here and it's 22 degrees. I've got windows and doors open, no heating on. The sun's warming her up that much, and to be honest, that's a bit stressful for a lot of plants. It's a bit stressful for me just stood here. I'm going to show you one or two things today. I'll show you a little bit of the exhibition stock first. This is the Llanedwyn leek. This is Ivor Mace's branch leek, as you can see. Nice roots on it. These are still in cells. These are the very late set ones. Llanedwyn. And the date that they were set, 12th of January. Yeah, 12th of January. They've made nice plants actually. Nice and clean. Lovely plants. I've already potted quite a few of these. I've just kept 4 to show you the process. Again, clover compost. Don't need to break the root ball, and they'll be sat right on top of the pot and just pot it on. I'll put them in the grow cabinet in a moment. That's it. They don't need any support at the moment. What I'm intending to do this year, as you can see, beautiful roots on them. A little bit floppy, and that's because of the heat that we've got today, and that's stress. I don't like to see too much of that, so I try to keep the temperatures down as much as I can. What I intend to do this year, I've already done an article on pot leeks, the different types of pot leeks, their qualities and their failures, and I'm going to do the same with blanch leeks this year. I think I've got somewhere in the region of 5 or 6 different strains of blanch leek, and I am going to go through the different ones as the season grows and give you my opinion on the leeks anyway, and what we should be doing. Now, I've grown this leek before. It's a new one. It's very vigorous. A lot of people said they had problems making length with it. I didn't, but I've got some photographs which I can maybe show you later on of what the product ended up like, and it was very good, I'll be honest. Nice quality leek, beautiful coloured foliage, very vigorous. That's 4 plants. They're ready for a drop water now. I'm going to show you a few other things. I'm going to pick the camera off the tripod and I'll take you around the greenhouse and show you a few little bits and pieces. Get it out of here. I'll just turn the camera around. Right, before we move, this is a Llanedwyn that was set a little bit earlier. To get the length on it, I start off with 9-inch pipe lagging. It keeps the plant nice and straight. It may look silly in the early stages because it's going well at the stem, but it doesn't take long for that to collar up. Tie it onto a split cane and that'll come away nicely. Now, you're going to see some big leeks in the greenhouse, but don't be fooled. We're looking on Facebook at the moment and you see lots and lots of really big plants around. I'm not saying anyone's wrong by having big plants, and obviously I don't want to be left at the standing point, so I have got some big plants further down the greenhouse which I'll show you in a second. But this is my own leek, the JSN. They're still in 7cm pots. They are going to be potted up today. That's not a big plant, it's a small plant. Beautiful roots on it. And for me, this particular plant, that's the ideal size now. I should have plants hopefully for late August and into September with those. 1 or 2 people recently have had plants off me, and I've seen one young lady, Louise. She was asking about nicking the plants. Well, I've never had to do that with this particular leek, but just in case anyone wants to actually see what nicking is on a plant, we've got a bottom flag here which I would take off. The next button, if we look, is where the buttons meet here, the flags meet. That's already split, and I find that this leek already does that. But there's a tight one, just a sharp knife. It's difficult trying to hold the camera at the same time. I'm going to move back a little bit. That's all you do. I don't know if you can see that. I'll just try and prise that and watch how it actually opens. There we can see the veil splitting open. That button's gone, and that's all you need to do, and that will keep the plants short. As I say, I find that this leek does it itself. When I start moving this up into bigger pots, it grows very quickly, and it will do it itself. They're beautiful and clean. They're actually virus free, but just because it's a new leek, it was a hybrid that I raised 4 years ago. Moving down the greenhouse, what I'm very proud of, if you remember, we had some virus free plants I received, I think it was the 15th of January. They've grown very well. These are 3-litre pots. They're beautiful plants, and I'm very pleased with these. They're a perfect size for me because it's very vigorous. They haven't had light treatment, and as you can see, these are Cumbrian, which is really wick with virus, and I'll show you them in a moment, what the parents are like and how clean these are. So I'm delighted with those. They are now in John Innes number 2 compost. Moving to this side, this is the actual Cumbrian, which is the parent plant, and that's virus that we see there. There's a really big difference. You see the virus standing out. So it'd be great. These look terrible in the early stages, and it'd be great if we can get the virus free here to completely wipe the other one out, and it'll be much easier to grow in the greenhouse, a lot more resistant to disease and pest. Moving through the greenhouse, these are onions from Pips. They should have been potted on a while ago. You can only do what you can. And these are different types of leeks that I'm just starting with. Right, these are all Blanche leeks along here. We'll just look at some of the varieties. Actually, that's the Clan Edwin, which I only potted up last night. That's the Berwick. They're looking reasonable. That's some early Clan Edwin, and I put early collars on those just to pull them up. You can see it's got a much bigger foliage than the normal Blanche leeks. Moving along, the Pendle. It's the Pendle improved. I don't grow the Pendle. There's a few of those to be cleaned up, but they're stretching nicely, and I haven't had collars on. They'll be almost 9 inches now. The Welsh seedling, very vigorous. It's quite a big leek. None of these are started early. These are all off late November heads. That's got a good length on it already, and it's nice and clean. RMG, this is Ronnie Gill's new leek. I grew this last year with great results. I thought it was a great leek, and I think it could possibly take over from being the main one from the Pendle. A few of Peter Clark's. Peter Clark was an excellent grower, one of the best in the country. Sadly deceased. Just moving along with some Betty leeks, some Amelia leeks. I'm not going to plant any of these, I'm only keeping them for stock. A few giants. I've only got 4 here, and these are going up, well, they're up in the 5-litre pots. These are for heavyweights. Whether they make it or not, I don't know. Moving on to some larger plants. These are some Cumbrians. These are all in 5-litre pots. Quite the size. They're decent leeks, all of them. I'm quite happy with them. There's from two different sources on there. Again, I'm not that struck on really big leeks at this time of year, but I will put a few in just to see, well, to make sure I don't get left behind. Moving along, a few of the onions. Seedlings, I'm growing quite a few seedlings, looking for new strains again. This particular seedling had a week on the grow light. It's very big. It may be far too big. I shouldn't have possibly done that. Some onions left. These are quality onions, heavyweight onions. These have got foliage 4 foot high. They're doing all right, and I've still got quite a few to prick out yet. Moving over here, I have a blue LED on these. This is on tomatoes, trying to keep them nice and short and squat. This is Red Dragon. It's a new one from Medwin. I do quite a few. This is spring onion, Guardsman, a few peppers, and along here, that's Guardsman, spring onion, smaller peppers there. These are Musselburgh leeks, Musselburgh. I try and do about 50 to a pot. A lot of the local gardeners come for just veg plants. Later Musselburgh. This is Red Baron. They're doing quite well. 50 to a pot. So some people prick them out, some will put them straight into the garden. These are all the GSNs. As I say, I don't want the GSN big at the moment. All the big plants have gone out. Moving on to some of the seed that I set. Different types of basil, come very nice. I mentioned that I'd sown some seed of some shallots. It's come through very well as a brood. I think I put a date, setting date. Shelly seeds, I didn't put a date on there, but these are all sown on the same date. I've got a date on there, we are. This seed was all set on the 24th of the 2nd. So these are 9 days old now, the seed's been set. As you can see, it's coming through nicely. Gardener's Delight, just a money maker. I've got some exhibition ones still to go in, a little bit early. Antarctica lettuce. Peas, right, these peas, I put 2 peas to a little 12 pack. I've got some ants on here, but I don't mind the ants because they eat other insects. This has been dressed off with vermiculite, and here we have some that haven't. Not a lot of difference, but the vermiculite is slightly ahead. So they've come quite well. Now a few days later, I decided to put a few broad beans in. I didn't get any autumn ones in. They're just starting to come through today, and they've only been in somewhere in the region of maybe 7 days. Just starting to germinate. A few days later again, I put some chives in. They're not through yet. And I found a packet of leek seed. It was just Musselburgh again. It was from 2013, so it's 7-year-old seed. I've put them in, we'll see what happens. Now I have some seedlings off my own GSN leek. They're looking brilliant. I'm very pleased with them. I'll just go along the row. This is seed that was sown. No date. I thought I had a date on them. There's the one. The date on. This seed was sown the 6th of November. We're on the 5th of March today. So November, December, January, February. 3 months. So in 12 weeks from seed, these have come on beautiful. They're a lovely colour. Some really nice plants amongst them, and I am looking for new strains out of these. Most of them have come fairly true, and they do look like leeks, so keep my fingers crossed. There's going to be something special out of these again. All the way along the row. 1 or 2 are slightly paler than others. This can happen. Some leeks are pale, some are very dark. You get a slightly blue leek. But I'm more than happy. This was all sown on the same date. There's the date again, the 6th of the 11th. And these are looking good. I'm well pleased with them. I do have a few more. There's another 20 which are from a later set, and they are down in a cold greenhouse down the garden. And then as we move along, just a few other Blanche leeks. That's Marcus Powell's Blanche leek. Again, Peter Clark's Blanche leek, and these are just small leeks waiting to go out. We'll take a quick look in the growth cabinet. I haven't been in there today. I hope everything's okay. So that's the size of the GSNs that I'm potting on for my main shows in September. It's not full. I'm just starting to fill this up. I emptied it at the weekend. Onions still to go out, they're exhibition onions. Late set Pendle. These have only been set about a month. I've got them in the growth cabinet, they're ready to go out now. Some more GSNs, a few CSCs. The Clanedwin that I've just potted next door, they'll fit into this little batch here. This is all Clanedwin, and as you can see they're late set, but they should hit exactly for the September shows. Now if we remember, I actually got 5 virus-free plants when I opened the parcel up, and one of them wasn't very good. Well, the one that wasn't very good struggled like mad to grow. So I actually took it out of the pot about 3 weeks ago, and I dissected it into 5 different plants. That's what they started off like. That's one of them that's actually rooted up there. That's 2. They've rooted up nicely, virus free. That's the other 2. So off that one plant that wasn't looking very good, after dissecting it up, I've ended up with 5. So I've got 4 next door and I've got 1 in here. I'm more than pleased. Hopefully they'll all grow true. They're all beautiful and clean at the moment. They are all virus-free Cumbrian. Something to look forward to. Thanks very much. I'll see you again in a week or two. Bye bye now.